Good evening. Welcome and thank you for joining us. I'm Andy Clark. I'm the Sportfish Program Manager for the Arizona Game and Fish Department. Tonight, we'd like to provide a public forum and discussion about the draft environmental assessment currently available for review and comment on our website. The draft EA, as we call it, is an analysis of the department's sportfish stocking program. The analysis has been in concert with our partners at the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, specifically in the Office of Federal Aid. Our partners at the Fish and Wildlife Service who administer the wildlife and sportfish restoration programs from the Albuquerque office are joining us tonight. And thank you for that. Also joining us are 3 aquatic wildlife program managers from our Northern Arizona regions. Ryan Fulmuth in Region 1, Scott Rogers in Region 2, and Andy Stites from Region 3. Thank you, gentlemen. Tonight, we'd like to focus on these regions, and tomorrow we'll do this again and focus on the 3 southern regions. So tonight, let's focus on that, and let's get started. Here's an overview of the proposed stocking program from 2021 to 2031. The Sportfish Stocking Program is supported with federal funds through the Federal Aid and Sportfish Restoration Program, along with state funds derived from the sales of fishing licenses and other state funding sources. The federal funding apportioned to Arizona is authorized under the Federal Aid and Sportfish Restoration Act of 1950, commonly known as the Dingell-Johnson Act. Also, an amendment passed in 1984 known as the Wallet-Burrow Act. These 2 acts provide federal aid to state wildlife agencies for management and restoration of sportfish. It's important to understand the definition of sportfish. In Arizona, we're a little unique in that our native species are typically not considered sportfish. We've got 2, our native trout, and what we have a round-tailed chub as well. So our sportfish are not native typically. So it's important to later on, we'll go into why that's important. The sportfish restoration funds are derived from a federal excise tax at the manufacturing level on certain items of sport fishing tackle, fishing equipment, and motorboat fuel. Recreational angling in Arizona creates a statewide economic impact of more than $1.2 billion annually. That was from a statewide angler survey in 2013. In 2020, the department sold over 400,000 fishing licenses. Since the early 1900s, the Arizona Game and Fish Department and other agencies have supplemented recreational angling opportunities by stocking state waters with sportfish species. There was some native fish species in those waters, but in those early days, we brought in species like carp, actually, bass, and trout. In 2020, the department stocked more than 558,000 pounds of fish for anglers to catch in 126 of Arizona's lakes, rivers, and streams. Stock fish include mostly rainbow, Apache and Gila, brown, and cutthroat trout. But some warm water species are stocked, such as largemouth bass, bluegill, and channel catfish as well. The majority of angler use is maintained through natural reproduction and recruitment of sportfish populations, and not by the stocking program. Fish stockings have evolved over the last 100 years, obviously to meet growing needs of the anglers in Arizona. Our population has continued to grow. We have to adapt and grow with it. The department considers a wide range of factors when determining where and when to stock fish, including biology, angler use, partnership commitments and needs, native fish impacts, and social demands. So to highlight, here's our mission. It's wordy, but essentially we conserve, enhance, and restore Arizona's diverse wildlife resources and habitats, and to provide wildlife resources and safe watercraft and off-highway vehicle recreation for the enjoyment, appreciation, and use by present and future generations. It's an important mission. The department must balance the needs of native species that are not pursued for sport by the recreating public with the public need for recreational opportunities. Remember, Most of our sport fish species are not native. So the department recognizes that the ability to continue to provide sport fishing opportunities is closely tied to the need for continued conservation of native aquatic species. To balance those needs, the department continues to implement wildlife conservation actions for Endangered Species Act species and other special status species. These actions include statewide species monitoring, implementation of recovery and conservation projects, assistance to other organizations and individuals in wildlife conservation as well. So every 10 years, our partners with the Fish and Wildlife Service and the department evaluate the social, economic, and environmental effects of Arizona's stocking program. And pursuant to the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, we prepare a draft environmental analysis that analyzes possible actions or alternatives. The preferred alternative for the agencies, also known as the proposed action, would allow the department to continue its stocking program for the next 10 years. And it also includes conservation measures to reduce potential impacts on federally listed or sensitive native aquatic or semi-aquatic species. So now I'd like to go through the first 3 regions. We have 6 regions in the state. The northern regions are 1 through 3. So we'll start with the proposed, like we talked about, the proposed action in region 1. And these are just the waters that we plan to stock. The maps show the region 1 is kind of split. There's a little bit on the Mogollon Rim on the left-hand side of your screen, and most of it is on the far eastern side in the White Mountains. So for cold water fish stockings, mostly the trout, here's a list of many of the lakes that we plan to stock in the next 10 years. I won't go through these lake by lake, but I'll leave it up here for you to read. Many of them are the most popular trout fisheries we have in the state, and we stock them now, and there's no planned change to stop stocking or alter those stockings in the next 10 years. Lots and lots of places for rainbow trout, Apache trout, grayling, cutthroat, brook trout, our native Gila, and Apaches are native as well, and some tiger trout. For warm water fish stockings, for bluegill, concho, Fool Hollow, rainbow, Scott reservoirs, Show Low Lake, and woodland we plan to stock bluegill in those, as well as channel catfish are roughly the same, largemouth bass. These are our warm water fisheries in region 1. Walleye, we plan to put in Fool Hollow Lake and Show Low Lake. They're already there, but if we have an opportunity to stock, we would like to do that. White aimer or grass carp are used for vegetation control, and we plan to stock them, if possible, in Carnero and Crescent Lake. For community fish program waters, where the idea is to bring the fish to the people if the people can't get to the fish, is Show Low Creek Meadows, with those species assemblage there, bass and catfish, trout and bluegill. And then up in St. John's at Peterson Ponds there, roughly the same warm water species, but we add on crappie, again, the white aimer, and some bait fish and fathead minnow. Also add red ear sunfish in Patterson Ponds. Some new opportunities for this 10-year period are going to be Gila trout opportunities in the Blue River, Luna Lake, and the San Francisco River, likely the fall of 2022 at the earliest. For Region 2 waters, Region 2 again has a little bit of the Mogollon Rim, the far left-hand sort of diagonal corner. There's a Knoll Lake and Blue Ridge Reservoir in Region 2. But the bulk of them are around Flagstaff and south and east of Flagstaff. It's the north central area. Trout stockings in Region 2, some of the big ones, Ashurst, Blue Ridge, City Reservoir, Lower Lake Mary. As you can read, there's most of the same ones we stock now. There's no planned changes for those. Arctic grayling in Marshall Lake and Perkins Tank, brook trout in Perkins Tank, Gila trout in the West Fork of Oak Creek and Oak Creek itself, tiger trout in Cataract, JD, and Kinnickinnick, and brown trout in Ashurst, Cataract, Dogtown, Elk Tank, JD Lake, Kaibab, Kinnickinnick, and Middle Tank. And then we rounded up with some cutthroat trout in Ashurst Lake if we have them available. Warm water fish stockings in Region 2. Again, like we indicated, most of those warm water fish populations are self-sustaining, but if we need to supplement them, they might be at Cataract, Dogtown, Francis Short, Whitehorse, Kaibab, and Santa Fe. Most of the time, those are like say reproducing, don't need to stock. Channel catfish in many of those Williams Lakes, Kaibab, Cataract, City, Francis is there in Flag, Kinnickinnick, and Santa Fe. We also have some largemouth bass fisheries in northern Arizona too. Again, around the Williams area, Cataract, Dogtown, Kaibab, and Whitehorse. And some grass carp or white amur in JD Reservoir or Middle Tank for vegetation control. Community Fish Program waters in Region 2 is over in Ash Fork at Stone Dam, where we will plan to stock largemouth bass, channel catfish, and bluegill as they're available. Some new opportunities in Region 2, as I highlighted before there, mainstream of Oak Creek, we're going to put some Gila trout, provide for some Gila trout opportunities there. To round out our northern Arizona regions for Region 3, majority of Region 3 is up in northwest Arizona. As you can see, most of the stuff south of the Grand Canyon, and then through central Arizona around the Prescott area and Cottonwood, Camp Verde areas included in Region 3. Coldwater fish stockings, rainbow trout in Fain Lake, lynx, yavapai, Goldwater, Watson, Willow, Mingus, and the Verde River middle part. They're around Tuesday Goot Bridge down to Camp Verde, and then Dead Horse Ranch State Park. Different trout species, Gila trout in Goldwater and Watson, brown trout in Fain and Goldwater, and brook trout in Fain Lake. Full plethora of warm water fish stockings. Most of these are small tanks, call them cattle ponds, but there's lots of opportunity in a lot of areas around Region 3. So there are, if we have funding available and can get fish, we'd like to put them in some places like Bass Tank, Blue Tank, Garrett Tank. Aside from the main lakes, we usually stock bass like Fain Lake and Lynx, Yavapai Lakes, Goldwater, Watson. Those are some of the places in Dead Horse that we're stocking now. No changes there. Hope to open up some reddier sunfish fisheries in some of those stock tanks around Baghdad and along in that area of Region 3. So long list of tanks there. Bluegill the same way. Hope to open up some opportunity there. The warm water fish stockings continued. Black crappie in Goldwater, Watson, Willow, and Dead Horse Ranch State Park. And then white crappie in Lynx Lake. White crappie are only known from Lake Pleasant, so that may be which Lynx Lake eventually feeds into Lake Pleasant. That's why that's included. But it may be very difficult to find white crappie to supplement and stock in Lynx. Nonetheless, we want to do that at some point if we're able to. Channel catfish, again, same lakes that we do now, Fain and Lynx, Yavapai Lakes, and then all the stock tanks around Baghdad and what that open country over on the west side of the state. Again, Watson and Willow, Dead Horse Ranch, and some bait fish. Community Fish Program waters, we talked about Fain already, and Yavapai Lakes. New opportunities for Gila trout is at Grapevine Creek, just south and east of Prescott, back in the mountains there. New population of Gila trout there. They're doing quite well. And I'd refer you to our fishing regulations for exact locations of these waters, or we can take questions. Again, we've got this draft EA out for open for comment. This meeting was meant to highlight where we want to stock, those proposed actions, but people are encouraged to go to the draft environmental assessment. It's on our website at azgfd.gov under fisheries, and you can find that. Review the full proposed action, and any comments you might have, we certainly encourage you. You can email them to the address on the screen there, or send by U.S. mail. Attention, Dave Weedman at the Carefree office. See that address there.
Okay. So with that, we'd like to, of course, open it up to any questions or comments in the feed there. We've got the 3 program managers and others standing by to take your questions. It's important, like referred to, that we would capture, for the NEPA process, to capture your comments and be able to document those. So we're going to try like heck to do that in this Facebook feed, but we would encourage you, if you have serious concerns, substantive concerns, that you go to the website or get those in to Dave, or you can actually email us at fisheriesmanagement@azgfd.gov as well. So I'll throw it to any of the program managers if they'd like to add stuff. There was a lot of information on those screens and not a lot of discussion on maybe the changes. Did refer, there wasn't a lot of changes with this particular proposed action, but there might be a few subtle ones. So any of the, Ryan, do you want to discuss any of those that might be there, or Scott?
Yeah, I can pick up, 1 or 2 things. So as Andy mentioned, not too many things are changing overall. One thing that is going to be nice for us in the future is that some of the time periods that we actually have to stock look like they're going to be extended a little bit. So that'll really give us a little bit more flexibility on our stockings to deal with some of the water quality issues that we're kind of going through in this drought that we're in right now. Other than that, that's, for Region 1, those are really the only big changes. Could throw it to Andy or Scott for anything that they might want to add.
Looks like Scott's having a little of the microphone problems or technology. Could not
Now
hear
is
him.
it working?
Yep, now we can hear him. Let's go back to
All right.
Scott. All right.
So one of our primary things is something, it's already started, but it's also part of this section 7, is to get Gila trout back into Oak Creek. We've stocked them as sport fish in Oak Creek proper for the first time this year, and we look forward to doing it over the next decade. Thus far, the anglers have absolutely loved it. That's one of the primary changes this year.
All right. Trying to spare you the glare of my glasses in the camera there. So see if I can read stuff without my glasses too much. But no, thanks, Scott and Ryan. Andy, I don't know from Region 3 if you've got some stuff in mind that maybe little tweaks that maybe there was opportunity that we lost, or just gained some good new opportunities in Region 3.
I'm actually filling in for my program manager, and he told me there was no major updates. Some here more to field questions. I guess the main thing would be what was covered in the slides, that there's now Gila trout in Grapevine Creek that's open for fishing. And then there's a lot of the tanks that were listed in the slides that haven't been stocked for quite some time, but I know we're going to be getting out there this spring and summer and surveying those and hopefully getting some fish thrown into them, even though they haven't been stocked for a few years, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Andy. This is a 10-year consultation, a proposed action for 10 that covers 10 years worth of time period. So that's meant to allow flexibility. There's some species may not be available from one year to the next, or the department, like we said on the slides, we want to do the right thing for threatened and endangered species. Don't want to do any jeopardy. So as time goes on and maybe actions on our part to improve native species help, then we may go to stocking with additional consultation. So there's a whole host of things, but this proposed action covers a 10-year period. The species you'll see in the draft EA are a result of hundreds of hours of analysis, and that's and came to the species that we've got here. So we feel like it's a great suite of species and provides a lot of opportunity. So. Well, I'm not seeing too many comments. I don't know if we're reaching folks. I'll rely on my team to let me know if somebody has any questions or comments. All right. Just kind of hang out here to see if somebody comes on. We're hearing it may have missed some folks when we got started. Maybe may have been a little harder to find, so we'll give it some time. And all right, looks like we've got some comments coming on. What's going on about algae bloom and people have been reporting? Oops. Yes, the video, yeah, I'll see if I can answer the algae problem. Also, yeah, the video will be available after tonight. It'll live on our website, our main Facebook site, and we'll work towards getting that on the main website if possible. But for now, it'll be recorded. You'll be able to see that on the Fish AZ website or Facebook site, as well as the main Game and Fish Department Facebook site. So that will be available. Let's see what else we've got here. I don't know. I haven't really been briefed about any kind of algae blooms. This time of year, it's pretty common to see golden algae blooms, and we have seen low-level kills at many of the urban, the community fish program waters in and around the valley. So that's probably what those are. We've been testing those quite often and not stocking when it's possible to avoid a stocking right on top of that golden algae bloom. And so, but I don't know of any in the Salt River chain of lakes. There was some small kills going on, I think, at Saguaro Lake. I got some reports of that, but other than that, I don't know of any big kills. The webcast will also be available on our YouTube page, so that'll be nice. Turn to YouTube and just go to YouTube and search for Arizona Game and Fish Department. So that'll give you access to that too if you tuned in late and didn't catch the presentation. So I'm going to throw it to the program managers, Ryan or Scott, have you heard any algae kills going on in your neck of the woods up there?
No, nothing in Region 1.
We've had no reports in Region 2. In fact, it's funny, frequently this time of year, we get a lot of reports of golden algae and it's pine pollen.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess there's a question here about is there reports on toxicity in fish or lists of safe to eat or not eat? So yeah, we've got a list in our fishing regulations. We also of waters that have notices on them, mainly mercury, but they could be other advisories. Those advisories are put out by the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, and the best list for those is on their website, although we do maintain a list, like I say, on our fishing regulations. So there's really no list on ours as far as toxicity, the level of that. What happens is ADEQ will go out in conjunction with the department and collect fish, usually 5-6 individuals, and then run tests on those individuals fish to test for heavy metals and other contaminants. At that time, then they use the results of that to drive their advisories. So I don't know that there's a particular list of how hot or not those fish are, although they will send you the results of those.
Looks like the feed from Andy froze up. So we got a question about the water levels. How are the water levels doing in the lakes in the White Mountains and Rim Country going into the summer? Is that a question that you can answer?
Yes. So up here in the White Mountains, we're in a rough state when it comes to water levels. Some of our most popular fisheries, big lakes, Willow Springs, specifically, are down, more than 5 feet. So as we get into the summer, we're hoping for a pretty major monsoon, but it's looking like launching a boat is going to be pretty tough this year, just with conditions on the ground. So same thing, fishing is pretty good right now. Sorry, dogs are barking. So conditions are pretty good right now. We don't have poor water quality, but as we do progress later in the year, it is very possible that we could have some pretty tough fishing conditions with our pH in the water going kind of sky high, I'm guessing, and then just really warm water temperatures. So kind of my biggest tip that I've been sending out to folks right now is to get out fishing now. Who knows what kind of fishing we're going to have later in the year. So recommend get out and enjoy the nice weather and the good fishing that we have right now.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. Let's see what else we've got here. Questions. Not seeing anything else. Yeah, water levels are a huge concern with this ongoing drought we've got going on. So we'll do our darndest to stock fish while we have water, and where we don't, we'll have to improvise. So from the regional program managers, what places maybe are most recommended spots for the people that ask, want to go fishing? What spots would you recommend right now and maybe for the next month or so?
Yeah, it's Scott with Region 2. We've got a lot of the similar problems with water quality. Right now it's good and fishing is good, and we hope that it'll stay that way. Sometimes this time of year in mid to late June, we start getting algae, and then as monsoon season comes in, we can have a pH problem and dissolved oxygen problems. So now's the time to fish. The last 2 years, fishing has been excellent all the way through June and into the monsoon season. But I strongly suggest coming up here now to fish. Ashurst is fishing fairly well. Kaibab's been fishing well. Dogtown has been fishing fairly well. There is more water in the Williams area than there is on some of our others lakes, with the exception of Kaibab. Kaibab is going down pretty quickly. But fishing is good now, and strongly suggest that now's the time to go out there and try it.
For Region 3, the big reservoirs like Mead and Lake Mojave are always good to go out and fish. And other than that, I think it's probably a good time to get out to the Prescott Lakes, all around that area before. I know some of them, as the summer goes on, the vegetation gets really thick and makes them really tough to fish. So now would be a good time to get out to those before all that starts growing up.
All right, back to Region 1. So, kind of the best places have been fishing this year. Willow Springs, Woods Canyon have been really good, especially with some of the larger fish that we were able to get from our Canyon Creek hatchery, and then with some special stockings that we've actually got from a vendor that we buy fish from in Colorado. So those are great spots. I know I've been seeing people on Facebook that have been taking some pretty big fish home out of those places. So Big Lake's been fishing pretty good. Last year was kind of an anomaly. There was some don't really still have a great understanding, but the fishing at Big Lake was fairly poor last year, even though the fishing or the fish population looked great. This year is not that same way. It's been fishing excellent. Another spot to hit, kind of in the next little bit here before the water levels really come down, are the Greer Lakes. So river, bunch, and tunnel reservoirs. Been seeing also a lot of good fishing around those places. And then also, just some, to kind of add a little variety. A lot of the streams that we work on, so Silver Creek, West Fork, Little Colorado River at Sheep's Crossing and Greer, and then East Fork, Black River are all being stocked, weekly. So, head out there and catch fish.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Just wanted to thank our David Fountain for the questions. He seems to be one of the only ones asking questions, so we appreciate that. And I wanted to just kind of expand on those comments. I want to remind folks too that the daily bag limit for rainbow trout, for all trout for that matter, has changed this year. So just wanted to throw remember it's 4 instead of 6. So we've been trying really hard the last few years to grow bigger fish for anglers to catch. And so the numbers of trout that our hatcheries can raise has gone down, but you're getting a bigger product. So it was necessary to follow that with regulations to protect those fewer fish that are in there. And hopefully we think the catch rates will go up and satisfaction will go up too. Our anglers catching instead of 6, they're catching 3 or 4, but they're bigger fish. So just wanted to remind everybody for that. All right. Any other questions, comments? Again, we're here to really alert you to that draft environmental assessment document that's available on our website. You just go to ezgfd.gov or .com or .gov, and in the banner at the very top there'll be a message there. You just click right on that, and it takes you to the page, and there'll be a link directly to the document. So if you're so inclined, take a look at that, read through that well. And then again, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, there's the email is that web page, and a mailing address for the Game and Fish Department here as well. So let's see. And just a reminder, tomorrow night we'll be visiting with the 3 program managers from Region 4, 5, and 6, the southern areas, Yuma, Tucson, and Mesa. So be sure if you have questions about those stockings there. Again, pretty similar to tonight's, almost identical, just to go through each regional stockings plan. Again, those stockings are listed in the environmental assessment directly, so that's your best place for that information. But we're going to do this again tomorrow night and take questions and comments, discussions, and we'd love to hear from you. Again, tomorrow at 6, right here on Facebook. All right. Well, I want to again thank you, our partners with Fish and Wildlife Service that joined, all the other folks that joined us. Thank you so much for the regional program managers joining us, taking time out of their evening to hopefully we didn't get too many questions, but appreciate your time, and thanks everybody.